pigs.
Ah! Oh, you frightened me, traveler. You shouldn't just greet someone unexpectedly.
I do it all the time. No one seems to mind.
Well, they could just be very polite. Or blind or something. Okay, so maybe it is just me getting spooked. The Stormcloaks used to say the same, but I have a good reason to be.
So you're a Stormcloak.
Was a Stormcloak. Now I'm just an ordinary shut-in, never going to leave this inn, as long as Meralki is willing to have me. Maybe I can marry his son, and then they'll let me stay here forever.
You fancy Eric?
He's nice enough. Got good hair, good teeth, and the inn will be his when Meralki's gone, so I wouldn't have to pay for a better room.
Why are you so afraid of leaving?
I'm cursed. It's been with me since I was a young child. It's the only explanation for what happened at Helgen.
Were you by Helgen when the dragon was attacked?
No, this was before.
Dragon
I just
attacked.
sworn the oath. But, as one of the less talented sisters, I was tasked mostly with retrieving supplies from the city. It happened on a Morndas. I was traveling on the road west to Helgen when pearls of snow began to pelt my brow. I no sooner blinked when the snowstorm came thundering from above. Except, there was a piece of black crouched further down the road, a woman wearing a hooded robe, holding a small child.
You tried to help her?
Indeed. I swore an oath to Ulfric Stormcloak, my brothers and sisters, but my oath to the gods came before this menial task.
The woman on the road, did you try to speak to her?
I called out to her. I was relieved when she stood up, but the relief was short-lived. She scurried off into the forest. It was no place for a child. The sun was dimming, and in the winter, the night is as fast as it is long. The air was cold, but not the kind of cold that pimples your skin. No, this cold was raw enough that you could feel it pass through your teeth, even when your mouth was closed.
A newborn babe is alone in the forest is a scary proposition.
As I said, no place for a child. So I hurried after her. Best I could tell, she was headed towards Orphan Rock, the one place every Nord child in Helgen fears.
What's so special about Orphan Rock?
There's a lot of tales parents tell their children to get them to eat their greens or pray to the divines. One of them is the story of the Haggraven of Orphan Rock. They used to say if you didn't pray to the Nine, Arkay would send the old hag to kidnap you in your sleep. The witches of Orphan Rock are said to be the grown-up versions of all the children who forgot their supper-time prayers. As a young woman grown, I've long since outlived such juvenile tales, but my hand couldn't help but reach for my weapon.
What happened with Orphan Rock?
Darkness set in. I bit my lip, trying to keep my focus on the woman and the child. I followed their tracks through the narrow passageway formed by the rock, but when I came out on the other side, the trail had vanished.
So they vanished, or something banished them. What then?
I found myself standing in a plot of followed dirt, empty save a rock marker. I called out again to the woman, but there came no answer. Then I called out once more, and then came a reply. It was a knock, like knuckles rapping against a door, and with each knock, the noise grew louder. No, not louder, closer. I swiveled around, and in my panic I dropped my mace. It wasn't until I'd reached for it that I saw it.
Saw what?
The snow jumping off the dirt, as if the knocking wasn't coming from behind me, but beneath. Higher and higher, until it was right under my feet. And that's when the clouds shifted, and the moonlight lit the marker in front of me. It wasn't a rock marker. It was a grave marker.
take it you fled.
I did what any sane Nord would have done. When I got back to the camp, the quartermaster demanded to know where I'd been and what had happened to the supplies. In truth, no explanation would suffice. It's just as well, because even I can't explain what was under my feet that night.
You stumbled upon an Oblivion Gate, obviously.
Is that what it was? I'm not sure, but I wouldn't put it past me. I am cursed after all.
You'll have to leave the inn eventually.
No, I'll starve to death first. I am a daughter of Skyrim. I don't fear death. I fear fear. And spiders. But everyone's afraid of crawlies.
Starving to death is a rather painful way to die. Better to be quick about it.
Nobody chooses to starve to death, and neither will I. Not until the choice is between that and leaving this inn.
What could possibly happen to you?
Oh, lots of things, although they usually happen at night. And when I'm alone. But I can't take that chance of them happening when others are around. I'd go out and help Redlith pick out cabbage heads. Only they wouldn't be cabbage heads. They'd be the heads of little children. Then maybe Ragnar will ride by, still making the journey to Whiterun as the Headless Phantom. Or maybe I'd visit Rorik's manor, and that bear he has mounted on his wall will come alive and reach down and bite him, right while he's cooking. Even here there are times I feel like my presence is a danger. Sometimes when I look up at the animals mounted above Noraki, I see the eyes move, as if someone were looking at me from behind them.
What brought this curse on?
It's always been a part of me. You see, my mother told me that I nearly died in childbirth. As a result, part of my soul was close to the void, and the wandering dead were drawn to me in their confusion. Yet, she told me not to worry. As long as my heart was full of life, it would fill that empty part of my soul and ward off the dead. Her advice was unnecessary, as a child's spirit is as stout as Shore's bones. It wasn't until I was a girl of 12, my heart broken by a boy I loved, that at first I yearned for death.
And that brought on the curse.
It did. It's silly to say, because as adults we experience things 1,000 times more hurtful than a simple heartbreak. But never in my years did I feel a stronger sense of grief, or a deeper wound, than when he said the words, no. I wanted to die more than anything. In our case, saw fit to grant my wish.
So, after your heart was broken, the curse came for you?
Indeed. That night, as I lay in my bed, the air was so cold, and even in the middle of the sun's height, I huddled under the covers, trying to stave off the cold. I had reached a point where I felt I could sleep, when I heard it. The breathing.
What'd you do?
No matter how much I shrunk into my covers, I couldn't avoid that foul hiss, but I dared not look. Then came the sound of footsteps walking to my door. I was about to go into shock when I heard my mother's voice. I leapt out of bed and ran to the door, flinging it open, and there she was. My mother, holding a candle, and standing over her shoulder was a wraith.
Wraiths don't stand, they float.
I suppose it was floating. I never bothered to look at its feet. I just closed my eyes and prayed. I asked Arcade not to take our souls and to fill my body with life. I asked Mara for her to bless my mother and to strengthen the bond between us.
Alright.